obviously, first question is this viral picture? Is it Spencer? Is Spencer the photo of the guy puking on Queen Street West that went viral a year ago?
If that's not Spencer, Spencer's at least been that guy so many times that
I've
it might as well
seen him do that. I've seen him sneeze puke without even looking down at the side or whatever. It's like, this is projectile sneeze puke after taking a shot. He looks like that guy.
I think it's him. Like, where was he that night? That's what I want to know. Or else it's him.
He doesn't have an alibi, as far as I know. Honestly, like he could probably look in his calendar. He was like glow in the dark bowling, or he was like a Canada's Wonderland, or he was.
Pretty much, right? Like it's definitely him. He's always hanging out there. He's always like let's just say confirmed. That's definitely Spencer. There's no denying it. Confirmed it. Confirmed. It's Spencer. So number 5, you have Pump Up the Volume, right?
Yeah.
I got that right. So why is that the 5th best NOFX album?
Well, I mean, first off, it's like incredibly difficult to rank. I mean, if I was to rank them again right now, the list might actually be different. Like this, too much material. It's pretty fucking shredded the whole time. I think the one of my favorite NOFX songs that always has been, and I think is one of the most underrated NOFX songs, is Marijuana on that album.
So there's no ska on this album. What do you think about that?
Yeah, not much ska, but I don't know. I think that NOFX, as much as they've incorporated a lot of ska into their sound, I don't see them as one of the more prevalent ska bands of the '90s. More of the melodic hardcore, skate punk kind of vibe, which ska is always welcome in, but not necessarily crucial to me.
I don't have enough fedoras for this.
Okay, so moving on. Number 4, you have Wolves in Wolf's Clothing. Their 2006 album is also their longest album. So talk about what do you like about this one?
I honestly think that was the last truly phenomenal NOFX album, in my opinion. I feel like NOFX has never really done any wrong, but that album, I think, was their last truly phenomenal album. It was almost like an end to an era of like the pure 90s NOFX sound, even though it was well into the mid-2000s. I think it was the last true skate punk NOFX album, in a way. I feel like the lyrics were a little political, but like pretty heavy as well. It was like one of the most starkly like fuck you idealistic kind of NOFX albums lyrically, and technically speaking, I think not really any other NOFX album can touch it in terms of the complexity of the riffs, and also like how interesting it was melodically.
So it is the longest one, and so the biggest criticism other people seem to have about it is it's like unfocused and kind of goes off in a lot of directions. Do you feel like there's any truth to that?
I think that's invalid. I think that was actually a testament to the creativity that went into it. Like, I think that it was NOFX kind of hanging on to their roots, like big time in terms of like the shredding beats and snappy hooks and shit like that, but also adding a little bit of an element of musicianship, because at that time they would have been the best musicians of their lives. And I think
that gives us
the
hope.
fact that they actually went from being such a fucking shitty, snotty, drunk, fucked up band to actually, you know, still being that, but also being like, okay, well, we're old enough now, we've been doing this long enough that we can fucking shred, so
yeah,
take a fucking listen to that goddamn bullshit.
All right, moving on. Number 3, you have Ribbed, which is their 3rd album, and it's like kind of considered the first good album by this band.
I would say that album, raw, fucking punk, intense. Like, it's also filled with a lot of like really classic NOFX hilarity. Like, it's all fucking super funny, but also when it comes to songs like Green Corn, it also just demonstrates just really how fucking punk NOFX is and shit like that. And I feel like people who think that NOFX is like a dad rock or a fucking mall punk kind of band, and like they are too fucking cool for school. I think that they would be hard pressed to listen to Ribbed and not agree that album is fucking fucking shit.
This album is the last album with heavy metal Steve Kidwiller. So Happy's not on this one, and this is probably like Steve's best album, best work in the band. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of the skate punk emerging at that time was pretty influenced by a lot of like the technicality, especially on drums, that a lot of metal like through the '80s, like fucking Slayer and shit, and a lot of thrash were kind of bringing to the table. It was like a more melodic take on that kind of speed and intensity in punk. So Ribbed was a classic example of where the future of like especially Fat Records bands like Lagwagon for example like were going to be going and that lasted straight through the 90s. And I mean even you can even hear elements of that in our music to this day because of the influence that that type of metal influence had on punk.
All right, so next you have Punkin' Drublic as the second best.
Does Laurie Meyers? No.
Yep, I think it's Laurie Meyers.
It
starts with fucking well, that album starts with the fucking iconic oh, and then into that fucking shredder riff that literally was a super short tangent, if you don't mind there, Cam.
Go.
There was a punk band in my hometown called Tape Wheel. That was the first punk band I ever saw live, really, at a local show at least. They were the only punk band in my fucking hometown in buttfuck Nova Scotia. And they covered Linoleum. And one time I came up to the singer Nick Rocky. I was like, dude, I love that song. Like, what's that song? And he was like, that's not by us, man. That's NOFX. That song is called Linoleum. I was like, really? That was amazing. And later he sent me on a MSN Messenger that MP3 Linoleum, and I was like immediately in like love with not just NOFX but everywhere, like just that entire sound. And that took me position I'm in these days. But
this album ruined your life pretty much.
This album ruined my life pretty much. I think most people would put Punkin' Drublic as number one, especially
pretty controversial that you chose two.
And I would agree that it's definitely their most iconic and influential albums, and probably the album that they did define their sound the most. It's just that what I chose for number one has such a special place in my heart that Punkin' Drublic has to be number two for me. However, I do think that it is probably the most iconic. As far as I know, it is actually their best-selling record of all time. It's fucking Laurie Meyers featuring the late and great Kim Shattuck of the Muffs. So that album is a fucking ripper, and I think as much as it is only my second favorite NOFX album, I would acknowledge that it's probably the most important NOFX album.
So the best NOFX album is So Long and Thanks for All the Shoes.
Oh yeah.
So why is this the best one?
Because it's the best one. If you even ask, Fat Mike has said multiple times through multiple sources that he also thinks that So Long Thanks for All the Shoes is the best NOFX album. I think it was the most creative melodically. I think that there's this like element of this like deeply passionate like rhythmic combined with melodic feeling to it throughout the entire album through so many different songs, like especially with songs like 180 Degrees or like All the Suits Are Torn. There are songs on that album that just like make your heart ache when you listen to them because it's just fucking like so captivating. You can't help but just want to like sprint or punch something or cry or fucking laugh your ass off or some shit.
It's got a really good flow to it, right? Like it is front to back, nothing skippable. Whereas even Punkin' Drublic, there's some I skip.
To this day, it just holds up really, really fucking well. And it's clever, it's snotty, it's catchy, it's fast as fuck. I think that it truly embodies like the NOFX sound almost as good as any other example of NOFX can be.
I spent the better part of the last decade drunk and strung out on drugs, and all I got was this stupid t-shirt that brings the hangovers and a body that failed is falling apart.
What do you guys, I was trying to understand or figure out what your band sounds like, and I think it just sounds like NOFX. What would you say?
That's accurate.
I'd say like the calling us NOFX, man. Everyone calls me Fat Mike.
Yo, don't talk to Skinny Tyler like that.
No, everyone's telling us that we sound like NOFX, or like that I look like Fat Mike. But I guess at the end of the day, like it's not super surprising. I mean, like NOFX has always been a huge influence for me, so it comes out in my writing.
Right.
I think at the end of the day, though, NoFX isn't the only notable band of like the '90s skate period. I'd like to think that we sound a lot more just like a Tony Hawk soundtrack, because there's a lot of bands that came from that era that have that similar kind of skate sound, just ripping fast D beats, a super fun demeanor, fun lyrics. And I'd like to think of it more as that specifically than just NoFX. Also, I've been really trying to like add some more like sludgy 3/4 riffs that are a little bit kind of enchanty riffs that are inspired by more modern bands like Pop or like Pew Pew Pew, or that like more recent indie punk kind of sound, garage punk kind of thing.
Why do you guys? I don't really understand. I think a Lime Ricky is a mixed strength. I don't even really know. Is that what it is?
Casual.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you the quick story if you want. So like, out east in Nova Scotia, where I'm from, Lime Ricky just refers to lime pop, lime soda. And I was flabbergasted to realize that here, the crust selection is literally just grape, orange, cream soda, and that's it. But out in Nova Scotia and the Maritimes, there's always been lime. And every time I tell people about that shit here, everyone's like, what? No, there's never been a lime. And I have no idea why they would just make that for the fucking Maritimes. And it's bullshit. Anyways, all the old birds out there, they don't just refer to Lime Ricky as like a vodka and lime soda beverage. They literally just call like lime pop a Lime Ricky. And I had this good friend whose dad was a landscaper, and he said that he would always keep a bottle of Lime Ricky, a 2-liter Lime Ricky in the truck. Because he said, you keep a bottle of Lime Ricky there in the truck, it gets warm, gets flat, still good. So,
and there it is. Same with us, dude.
I really did that. Yeah, we get warm, we get flat, we're still good, I guess.
Yeah, we're good, yeah.
Good to go.
So I was going to ask you guys, what's next for you guys?
I've been thinking that we should get a line of signature Lime Ricky bibs, for like, for rib deals, rib specials. People could always kind of carry their signature Lime Ricky bibs on them.
I was thinking about like our bathwater flavored chips, like Lime Ricky chips,
Okay.
Yeah.
Just the ideas, bouncing ideas out of them.
So definitely like no albums or shows, just like
we got
weird
smokes.
food ideas.
But I guess seriously though, we do have a album release show. We've been sitting on this fucking album for like God knows how long. It's just been like one roadblock after another in terms of getting people to master it and all this shit. But like we're at the very tail end of it now, having it all prepared. We have a date locked in. It's February 7th at Bovine, and so we're gonna release that there and probably get fucking shittered and make asses of ourselves and have a fucking dope ass time doing that.
All right. Well, thanks for making the time, both of you.
Of course, I'd like to.
Of course, dog. Of course, doggy.
Cool.